Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I guess I should warn you up front, the first couple of minutes of this video might seem a little bit confusing. But hang in there, I will explain in a minute why it is that I seem to dismantle my house and also put it on fire. But for the remainder of the video, I will show you how I insulate the floor with wooden fiber insulation, how I put down the floor planks, and how I insulate the loft and also put up a vapor barrier on the loft. And also what this mysterious paint project is all about. So, if you're wondering why it is that I'm scorching all of these boards and also actually undoing a whole lot of the work that I've done with the floor, it is because I read some of the comments here on YouTube, some of the last videos about the floor, because some were of the opinion that it's not a good idea to put untreated wood under the house. And I don't necessarily agree, but I still want to share my reflections on it because it made me think about some things and actually ultimately led to the decision that I wanted to give these boards under the house a sustainable wood treatment. So this is called yakisugi in Japan, and it's a method where you scorch the wood so that you burn off the sugar in the wood so that the fungi don't have anything to eat and thereby nothing to live off. And also you destroy the wood's ability to absorb moist when you scorch the first layer of it. And yakisugi is actually just an umbrella term for a variety of methods. 3 that I know of, I don't really remember the names, but the first one is a light scorching, the second one is this one, and then the third is where the wood kind of crumbles. I think that the second degree burning is okay for my needs as of right now. But the reason why I actually chose to go this way is because the criticism is that soil can evaporate some moist and wood is able to absorb moist, and thereby the fungi spores that lie dormant in the wood, they will suddenly wake up with the moist and start working and eating the wood and thereby turning your floor into a compost pile. But that may not necessarily be the case actually, because it depends on the type of soil that you have and how much water there is in the soil, and also the amount of ventilation that you have under the house. And in my case I have quite a lot of ventilation under the house. It's like plus 20 centimeters. So it's a lot. And also actually this soil is not really soil, it's actually sand, because if you just dig down a little bit, it's pure sand. And not only that, the groundwater level is, I think, about 7 meters below this point right now. So there is not any chance that the water can work itself up, because it will percolate downwards because it's sand. But if I had like clay soil, then the clay would be able to suck up the water and make it evaporate over the surface, and thereby making it more like risky for any given building. But that's not the case here. And it's not so much about choosing one way or the other. It's more about knowing the conditions and also knowing the materials that you work with. That's much more important, because then you can make an informed and independent decision, and you're not beholden to do whatever someone told you just because, yeah, he told you so. But the reason why I actually chose to do it anyways was because I saw this TV program that made me think a little bit, because it was about old houses in Denmark, and they were so old that they were from a time where you only built houses with biodegradable materials, like natural materials. And they have a hard time here in Denmark due to climate changes, because the weather is getting so warm even during the winter. So normally these old houses were able to dry up during the winter in the cold, frosty months, but they don't get to do that any longer. So they are just slowly turning into compost piles because the weather has changed. And that is like one factor I cannot predict for the future. It is how the weather will change, because there is a possibility that our winters will get more and more humid and moist and hot, but actually no one knows, because it might as well turn around at some point, because we get a lot of our hot air from the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, I said it. And if that Gulf Stream changes because of climate changes, then we might not have that warm weather in the future. So we might as well be looking into a future where we could get Fimble winters here in Scandinavia, because the weather cycles might change around the globe, and then everything will be like upside down, and we won't have the weather that we're used to. And actually no one knows. So this is actually just planning for uncertainty, because it might go one way or it might go the other. And because I don't know, I just choose the better safe than sorry option. So yeah, that is the long explanation for why it is that I do what I do right now. So, and in case you're wondering what it is that I'm doing with these boards that I paint under the house, well, it's also obviously a sustainable wood treatment method, but it's just another one. And it was easier for me just to paint these boards than to screw them off and burn them. And while it was easier just to burn the other ones. And then I had an opportunity to explain two different ways of sustainably treating wood. But this is actually a classic mixture of wooden tar and also linseed oil, boiled linseed oil, and then some plant-based turpentine from pine wood. So all of these three ingredients are totally natural, biodegradable, and yeah, they are great for treating wood because they have some different properties, like the wooden tar seals everything off, and it also protects from UV light, not so relevant under the house, but still. And it's from the core of a tree. And then you have the linseed oil, which on a molecule level is very fine, so it can really go deep into the wood, and then it creates kind of like a seal around the wood and protects it, also because the wood sucks it up, so it gets a little harder and thereby more resistant to anything that may come in. So in that way, these ingredients are actually really sustainable. But it is the same treatment that I think I will give the outside cladding of the house after I have put that up in April. But anyways, I just need to paint these now, and then I can put the boards back in and then get a move on. Once all of the 450 boards were back in their caskets, time had finally come to insulate the floor. First, however, I laid down a thin membrane made out of cardboard to shield off from the wind under the house. Because I made my floor so that all of the rafters have a 60 centimeters distance from one another, center to center, the insulation fits perfectly down in between them. And you want to cut the insulation batts so that they are a little bit bigger than the casket they fit into. That way you minimize the amount of thermal bridges in the floor. after the first half of the floor was insulated, I started laying down the planks for the floor. These are untreated boards with tongue and groove that I got pretty cheaply, because they are a second choice type of boards. And I laid them with a distance of 1 centimeter to the wall. Because I don't want them to put pressure on the wall if they expand due to moist. And by laying down the floor like this, you eliminate the thermal bridges that you would otherwise get if you have laid the floor under the walls, as you sometimes see. Living in a Scandinavian climate, you want to do as much as possible to keep all of the heat inside of the house. After the floor was laid, I got a very welcome visit from two of my good friends. Their help simply propelled me several days ahead in my work schedule. And Thomas got to do a whole lot of screwing on the sleeping loft. Fixating the rafters with angle steels on the top beam, one on each side. That's 13 times 4 angle steels in total. And after this, time had come to insulate the roof. First a layer with 100mm insulation, and then a layer with 150mm insulation. And then for good measures, I added some additional side screws on all of the rafters, just in case. Next project was to build 2 walls for my bathroom. The reason being that an electrician is installing the cables in the walls in these days, so I need to have all of the walls done by now. Så kan vi komme helt op. Vil du have den på 3,50 eller 6? And then my very good friend Tue also swung by to help me out. This time with putting up the vapor barrier on the loft. And once again, deer stew was on the menu.
Man skal have tid og humør til den.
Ja, og man skal sådan lade det synke dybt ind i... Just like the rest of the house, this vapor barrier is breathable and made out of reinforced cardboard. And it's pretty unhandy to deal with one person, so it's very nice to be two. And soon enough, the house started to resemble a big Christmas present. And then, for the very first time, a meal was enjoyed in my new house. And as always, Tua had brought his delicious homemade beers. So that was 2 incredibly intense weeks for my part. Not only physically, but also mentally, because so many different things has happened, as you just saw.